Hi, I'm Katie Sky and welcome back to my channel. We are on the island of Pinecone. This is the entrance that we did last week. And today we are going to be working on our campground. It's not just a campsite, it's an entire campground. And I already built up the main level for it, but we still have a bit of terraforming and waterscaping to do. And I might have gone a little overboard with how large I made this, but I do want to put a lot of trees and like tiny activities into this. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna go ahead and get started by putting on my little helmet because safety first. And then I'm gonna start with the waterscaping and I'm gonna do a nice little outline of the lake first. I'm not gonna make you watch all of it because it did take a really long time for both the waterscaping and the terraforming I'm doing today, but trust me, you don't want to watch me hit the ground over and over. But we're just gonna do the outline, fill it in, and then move on to the waterscaping. When I'm telling you that this build took me forever, it took me days to complete. Like I'm talking literal days, like 4 or 5 days, because it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I don't know how it spiraled out of control so much. Well, I do. I'm excessive, that's how. But it's really cute, and there's a lot of cute little builds within this big build itself, but it does take up a quarter of my island now. This is only my second build, and it's a quarter of my island. But you know, it's cute, and I'm here for the aesthetic. So what really inspired this build, well, initially I just found a cute picture on Pinterest and I'm like, oh, that's cute. And then I kind of ran with it. I'm like, but what if instead of just a campsite, it's an entire campground? Because I love camping. I grew up camping, you know, I was in the Girl Scouts, we camped a lot. And, you know, a couple years ago, my mom and I actually did a cross-country camping trip. So we literally crossed from California, where I live, to Massachusetts in Salem. And we were camping for like 5 weeks, I think, before we came back to California. It was so much fun, but I took a lot of inspiration from those trips in things that we saw in the campgrounds that we stayed in. That's where a lot of the inspiration came from. And we are still terraforming. I'm doing these little, I call them islands, like land islands. I realized that you can't get to the campsite. I completely enclosed it, which I was not meant to do. But I just kind of zoned in on the terraforming, I guess. But so I'm just making a little pathway, a little tunnel almost, to get to the area where the campsite is. And now I'm just having to build up a little bit of the tunnel entrance. It's not really a tunnel, but I don't know what else to call it. And now we're moving on to our very first build. So the first thing that you see when you go to a campsite is the check-in counter. I mean, it depends on the camp store, because some of them you check in at the camp store, some of them have a separate check-in area, but this is where you check in. And of course we have our little pumpkins on the simple panels because it's a fall island. We can't not have our pumpkins. And I've always wanted to use these curved streetlights and I've never had a chance to, but I think they're kind of perfect for, you know, the vibes of a campground. I will say I did not end up liking the plank path and I end up changing it later. I really did not like it. And I eventually changed out that sign as well to a sign that I did. And then we're going to move Marshall's house up here, who I replaced with, or Sheldon asked to leave while I was doing the terraforming, and I replaced him with Marshall. And he's going to run the little camp store. I have decided that I'm going to do the interiors on this island. So the inside of his house is going to be like a little store, which does mean I have to do HHP, which I'm not super happy about, but it'll be really cute. And in this area, I end up putting plank pathing underneath this to make it more defined, but you'll see that later on. But we are just going to work on this little wood cutting area. So I use the wild log benches and some of the other wood items to make it look like, you know, things are being cut up there, because you need firewood when you're going camping, and the camp store is going to have that. So I'm curious, are you a camper too? Have you ever been camping before? You know, I'm nosy. I want to know. I love camping. We go at least a few times a year, but that cross-country camping trip was really fun. So now we're moving on to the little movie area, because a lot of campgrounds will have like, either there's gonna be like an indoor area that you can go watch movies, or they're gonna have like an exterior place where you can go watch movies. And a lot of times, especially in the summer, they'll actually have like certain movies that are playing. So that's what this is inspired by. Also, like, you gotta have a movie area on your island, or at least I do. They're on almost every single one of my islands somewhere. Just gonna put down some picnic blankets, and then we will get decorating. Gotta get those hay beds down that you can sit on in real life, but not in Animal Crossing. I also put a generator down because there's a lot of generators at campgrounds, especially if you go to a campground that has like RVs. They all have generators. And we're just gonna do a little bit of pathing. I'm not gonna have any inclines over here, but I am going to put a little staircase, not staircase. What is it called? Ladder. I'm gonna put a ladder in. This is the new pathing that I was telling you about. I think that this plank, decking, whatever, is a lot cuter than the other one. And I think it's more fall as well. So the next area that we're gonna work on is the little picnic area. We don't have actual picnic tables in this game, but these look the closest to the to real life picnic tables to me. And in campsites and campgrounds, you see a lot of wood anyways, because trees are everywhere. So that's why I went with these ones. It's not a super big area, just to the right of the camp store, but I think it's really cute. And this is where I realized that I should have put all of the pathing down already, and I didn't. So I wanted to make it look worn, so I wanted to put the dirt path underneath the tables. So like when something is really well used and there's a lot of foot traffic, you know, you get that worn dirt underneath. That's kind of what I was going with for this. And then I completely forgot to do it before I put everything down. So I had to pick everything up and do it again. Thank you, ADHD. Thank you so much. And again, I'm not going to make you watch all of the pathing because that can be boring. But they're just like random shapes. Nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy, I promise. You know, we just want a cute little area that everyone can come hang out at, you know, have some hot dogs, some hamburgers, barbecue, whatever you want, you know, read a book, do some work, you know, whatever you want. It's your, I mean, I'm assuming it's a vacation. So you can choose what you want to do. Now we're just gonna put in some plain party light arches. Because you have to have some good lighting, some mood lighting. And then they were too close, so I pulled them apart so I can put a tree in between them. And again, my curved streetlight. Tell me why this streetlight cannot be centered on this code. Very irritating. And now we're just gonna put little decorations, a little cooler because you need to keep your food cool, which is very difficult unless you want to spend a lot of money on a real nice cooler. A bike that doesn't end up staying there. You've got to get your decayed trees because the leaves are falling, and of course we need bubbles. Lots of wheat field. I love wheat fields so much. I do end up moving that mug because the afternoon tea set completely blocks it. And so it's like, what's the point of it being back there? So I do move it eventually. And then you have your little shopping bag of food and whatnot. And then you gotta have your trash cans because you can't just leave litter everywhere. You gotta take care of the earth. And a little more wheat field because there's no such thing as too much wheat field. And my little sign, I made it. I'm so proud of it. It's a little picnic sign. It's very cute in my opinion. I might be biased though. And now we are to the right of the picnic area, and this is going to be the decking for the pool area, which is also like the bathroom and the laundry area. If you've ever been to a really big campground, like a major campground, they have so many of these things. They have pool, jacuzzi, you know, they have laundry, you know, they have showers that you can use. There's so much stuff that they offer. It's kind of crazy. Those are my favorite ones to stay at though, obviously. And right now we're just finishing up some fencing because we got to keep everything separate, obviously. And these are gonna be our showers with the little Cosmo showers. I love this item, it's so cute. And it, you know, you gotta shower somewhere, you know, get the chlorine off. If you've been camping for a long time, get the dirt off. It's necessary. And I think that the little wooden sheds, storage sheds, look like little porta potties. Like the wooden porta potties. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. So, you know, that's what I was doing here. So those are our little bathrooms. And then I do end up changing out the other bathroom I use, and I change it into a changing room or something like that because I think it looks better. There's a lot of, in how I decorate, there's a lot of like back and forth, picking things up and putting them down before I fully decide on what should actually go there. Like, I don't know how many times I picked up this washer and put it down and picked it up and put it down. So this is the changing room. I just think it looks a little bit better. And then we have the laundry and then the little laundry basket because you have to be able to do your laundry. And, you know, things are slippery, so you need a sign. Gotta make sure nobody's gonna run and get hurt, right? And then I put little duckies down. I love the little duckies so much. I'm pretty sure there's a ducky somewhere on every island I do. And now we are moving on to back towards the entrance of the campground. We are doing the playground because you need something to entertain your kids. I mean, I don't have kids, but I'm assuming that's how that works. So we have the little jungle gym? That thing? The thing you climb on? The little springy horses. I used to love those as a kid. I'm not gonna lie, I would still ride one now. But for some reason, when you're 32, people frown at that, which is rude. And again, in this area, you'll see later, I also forgot to put the dirt underneath this, so I do have to go back and redo that at some point too. I don't know why it's so hard for me to remember to do that, but it really is. And we're gonna go ahead and put some little log stakes here so that no little kitties fall into the waterfall. And then we have little, what are they called? Tire toys? I'm assuming for you to climb on? I'm not really sure. I never had something like a tire toy when I was little. I would assume that it would be fun to jump off of though. Anyway, most campgrounds I've been to have at least one jungle gym, playground, whatever. The really big ones will have multiples. I don't know that I ever actually saw one that had a climbing wall in it. Although some of the jungle gyms have climbing walls on them, so I guess that counts. We're gonna go with that. That counts. Some of these items are very difficult to get to face the right way, but you know, we make it work. And then this is about where I figured out that I forgot to put all of the dirt underneath again, so I have to fix it. Again, I'm very curious. Did you do camping? Did you go camping when you were younger? If you go camping now and you didn't when you were younger, what made you try it out? And if you did go camping when you were younger and you don't anymore, what's the reason? I'm very curious about these things. We're still working on putting the dirt path back. That I should have done first, but I failed. And then I love these little balloons, so I also left one for you to pick up when you come here. And now we're moving on to the next little area, which is the dog park. I have a dog, and we took her with us when we went on our camping trip. Her name is Bella Bean. She's a little chai mix. That's Chihuahua. I know not everybody knows that. She's very loud. She does have the devil in her a little bit, and she will remind you that she is in charge. But I love that little terror so much. She's my little princess, and most of the places we stayed did have little dog parks like this, where it's fenced off so that they don't have to be on their leash. You know, they can do their business without you being right next to them. So that's what I did. A little dog area, and just putting down some more pathing again for the worn areas, because you know, dog claws can tear stuff up really, really easily. And every dog park I've ever been in, every dog area I've ever been in is almost completely dirt. And we gotta make sure that they have a little ball to play with. And now we were moving up onto that third level to the left of the campsite. And it's going to be the archery area. I've always wanted to learn how to do archery. Is that right? How to do archery? How to be an archer? I've always wanted to learn that. But I'm not very coordinated, and I don't even know how you would start to learn that, but I decided to do a cute little archery area. I was gonna do knife throwing. That I have done. It's a lot of fun. But we don't have tons of things in the game that could make that make sense, so I was like, let's do archery. let's not make it harder for myself than I have to. And so that's what we're doing. We have the hay bales because, you know, if there's a stray arrow, you don't want it to go into the... What is going behind this? I think the carnival. You don't want a stray arrow going over there. So, you know, the hay bales will prevent injury. Because not everyone will get a bullseye. And now we're putting the little targets in. And I forgot to put the dirt down. Are we surprised? No, we're not. At least I'm not. But we're gonna put little dirt patches underneath because, you know, you gotta go and you gotta pick up your arrows, retrieve your arrows, get them back in your quiver. I think that's what it's called, the little storage place for your arrows. It's a quiver, isn't it? I might be making that up. But more dirt. This is gonna be a very dirt-based island, apparently. I would still love to learn how to be an archer. I would love to learn archery. I don't really know that there's anything like that near me. I've done knife throwing and axe throwing. That's a lot of fun. I don't recommend giving me so many sharp objects though. But I don't know that there's any like archery type things near me. I've never actually looked into that, so who knows. Now we're just going to put down all of our bows. Bow and arrows? Bows? They're called bows in the game. And we're doing our safety railing because you can only shoot? You can only shoot from behind this. For regulations? I don't know. It's for something. And I got this idea from Pinterest, I believe. It was Pinterest or Instagram, which if you're not following me on Instagram, you should do that. I don't post much over there, but you should still do it. Just adding a few little odds and ends, little rocks. I don't know why actually, I just wanted to. Little stacked bags that you can also maybe aim at. And now we're just setting up the bows on this side of the railing. I don't actually know why there would be bows on the other side of the railing, now that I really think about that, because that seems dangerous. And then you need a place to kind of rest in between turns. And I'm doing all of the trees and the main pathing later, so it does look a little funky, but now we're back to the entrance, and this is going to be the little rental area where you can rent anything you're going to need. Bikes, scooters, beach balls, fishing rods, any of it. Which I have done. I have rented stuff at campgrounds before. They always have some interesting things you can rent or buy in the camp store. It really depends what you're looking for. While you watch me build the little rental area, let me tell you a little bit about the plans I have for this island. So the next video will probably be the koi pond build, which never done one of those. That should be exciting. And I have a bunch of like little, they're kind of filler areas, but I'm making them much larger. So I guess not really filler anymore. I can word. But I'm really excited about the koi pond. And then we're also, I'm also doing a pumpkin patch, and that's gonna kind of complete the area around resident services. And what other areas do we have? I might do a little florist shop. I might do like a little lemonade, or I guess it wouldn't be lemonade. I guess it would be a pumpkin spice stand. That might be interesting. I might do a rock garden on this island. I haven't decided yet, because I've done a rock garden on my last few islands, and I don't know if I want to do another one so soon. But we'll see. We're definitely gonna do a fall carnival, and I'm excited to do that one. But that's probably not gonna be until closer to the end of the series in the island. tea party. Did I say that? A painting area? I definitely said that. And I might do my house as a haunted house. I haven't really decided on that yet or not, because that's a big build. And I don't know if I'm gonna have the space to do a legitimately haunted house. But, you know, we'll see. Let me know if you have any ideas for this island. And we are moving on to the campsite now, like the actual campsite. You know, I wanted it to be tucked back into the cliffs and then have a little seating area and then like a little cooking area, which most campsites I've been to are not this big. They're rather small and you have to make do with what you can do in that amount of space, but you know, some of them are very nice and very big, especially if you have an RV. I'm just saying. And then we do have a little secondary tent as well, and those are gonna get put in a lot of other places as well, just because you can't have a campground and only have one campsite. That is not a campground. And you gotta have your little folding chair and your firewood from the fire chopping area at the camp store, and all of the wheat field. And it is in fact spooky season, so you have to have your decorations. And you know what's the best thing to do when you're camping? Reading. So we're gonna put some little books here, because you gotta take your TBR with you. You gotta read the books on your list, you know. And here we're moving on to placing the tents and the trees around. This island has so many trees on it now. I did so many trees. But it looks really cool. And this is when I started getting really tired of this build. Like, I love it now, but in the moment I was over it because it took so long, days upon days. Like, I think this was like day 4 by this point. I just wanted to be done. And so I end up doing a lot of work off camera, just like placing trees and flowers. But it was the only way I could finish the area because it was driving me bananas. Like bananas. And there's so many trees. I probably had 100 trees that I used at least in this build. And trees take up a lot of space because you can't plant anything next to them. Like, you can't do trees next, like, one spot over. You know, there has to be a spot in between them, which means I had to extend the cliffs, which means I had to extend the first cliff. So it was a lot. And it's just mostly filler area that I had to do off screen. But man, am I happy it's over. I am so happy that it's over. But, you know, when you go to a campground, especially the campgrounds I like to go to, there are trees everywhere. So I tried to make it look as much like that as I could within the parameters of this game, and not letting us put stuff next to each other, which is very rude. So all of the little islands, land islands that I made were essentially going to be like little campsite areas. So there's going to be tents and trees and little filler areas. So that's what you're going to see me kind of working on now. One of the little islands does end up being like a little viewing point, although it is kind of far away to be a viewing point. So I didn't think that all the way through, but it's still really cute. That's what matters, right? That it's cute, not that it's functional. And I definitely want to, on this island, make it more fall almost, because campgrounds don't have tons of fall decorations or fall activities, or not all of them do. And so I didn't want to be too fall forward over here, but in the next few builds I want to definitely do more fall themes throughout the builds. I think that will just make it a lot more cozy and fall vibes. But you know, campgrounds don't really have that. I mean, the camp store and like the check-in area would be decorated, but not really anything else. So I kind of tried to keep it true to that. Like I said, so many trees everywhere. But it's necessary because it's, well, first of all, it's a Forestcore island, and you know, I like to camp in the forest. I love the forest. So that's kind of what I based this whole build off of. So there had to be trees. There had to be tons of trees. I wish I could have done more trees. I did try to use different sized trees to kind of force the perspective. So really close to the edge behind the campsite, I kept them in like larges, and then all of the full-grown trees are at the back to make it seem like a really far and long forest, rather than the like, what, 3 rows of trees that it actually is. It's just to make it look more full. And then I put filler items in between that, which I did a lot of that off screen, sorry. But like giant vines, decayed trees, tree standees, I did a lot of those to give more fullness of trees without it actually being a tree. But that's why you see me burying something behind a lot of these trees, because I'm stunting them. And you can't forget about the little puppies. They need trees too. They like to pee on them. I mean, mine doesn't. The roots, I guess. She's a girl, so she can't really lift her leg like that. Is that TMI? I'm sorry. And now we're getting on to like the full pathing. Full pathing? Like the walking pathing? And like the planks that lead to like the tinier areas. Which again, I did not subject you guys to all of that because it's boring watching me place the same 3 tiles over and over. But let me know if that's something that you want me to keep in from now on. I definitely will. I don't imagine that it's very entertaining. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know. And we're putting in some little planks so that you know how to get to your campsite. Because sometimes campgrounds are confusing. And this is just going to be the path that goes to the campsite and then also to the camp store and the picnic area. This path is mostly just like filler items, nothing too crazy going on here. and now it's the next day because I got tired and went to bed. That kept happening. Is like I would work on this build for so long, and then I would just give up for the day and go to bed and come back, and it would just repeat the process. And I'm like, how is this build taking so long to do? But here you can see some of the fillers that I was putting in. It's really just the same thing over and over. It's not that interesting. You know, I used the giant vines, I used the mush parasol, and then the tree standees, which are very difficult to work with sometimes. But, you know, it's nothing too crazy. I didn't really put too many flowers or bushes up there, because why decorate it if you cannot see it? And you really can't see it from most positions on the campground. And I did decide that I was gonna do the festival balloons, the like red and orange ones, because they look very spooky season coded to me. And I'm like, that would be a way that I can make it feel more fall without it being like overly fall. Does that make sense? It makes sense in my head. And, you know, we gotta add the bushes, the wheat field, more wheat field, some spooky towers. I am turning them around because it's not gonna actually be like Halloween, it's just fall. So we just need the pumpkins, we don't need the jack-o'-lanterns. And we are finally starting on bushes and flowers. My favorite part, this is when the builds really start to come together for me. And I really love flowers too. So I always love decorating with them. I once did an island, a 24-hour challenge island, and I did meadowcore, and I literally just put flowers everywhere. It was so much fun. I went through so many flowers though. But I wouldn't be against doing something like that again, because I did really enjoy meadowcore, because flowers are life. So just putting lots of flowers around, staying with our theme of white, yellow, and orange flowers to go with spooky season. Not spooky season, fall season. The best season that there is, in my opinion. As somebody that lives in what is basically the desert, and so it's really hot in the summer here, like really hot. I'm not looking forward to summer, which our summer starts in like a month. Oh, is that good? And that is our video for today. I hope you enjoyed watching me struggle to build this campground. If you did enjoy watching me struggle with this campground, please go ahead and like and subscribe if you want to see the next build on Pinecone. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite small activity area that I did is. I'm very curious. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. I know it was a long one today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!